Yeah.
How you doing, man? It's Jake Feinberg.
Oh, how are you?
Hey, great to connect with you, man.
All right.
You talk to me a little bit about Jack Kleinsinger?
Well, Jack runs that, I think it's on for a long time.
Right. I just, his importance to carrying on the traditions of melodic improvisation.
Right.
I mean, what is his contribution? You've been on many of it. Highlights.
Well, he hired all the people that were in the business, and he presented them that way, each one.
He's one, man. Bucky, it's just an honor to connect with you, man. I just wanted to talk to you about your involvement, with the Four Brothers specifically. Did you ever play in a swing band or a big band setting?
Oh, yeah, I've been in a couple of big bands. I've been Vaughn Monroe and Benny Goodman, and they all had that same quality, They'd have some great jazz players there.
How did you fit the guitar into such a big, brass heavy situation?
Well, I just did my thing, and it sort of works.
What is your thing? I mean, can you go a little deeper?
Well, I knew how to play the tunes. I learned the songs that way, and then whenever the band played or had to fake anything, they called upon me to do it.
All right, let's talk about the big bands. I mean, Stan Getz was in Benny Goodman's band. He got fired. He was in Woody Herman's band with the Four Brothers. Please tell me about your view of Stan Getz.
Well, I can't tell you about. I played with him a few times, but my champ was Zoot.
I dig, but what I'm saying, Zoot has left us now, but what did Zoot say? What was Zoot's feelings about? I mean, those guys were all with Woody together, and they were all junkies. I mean, what was Zoot's take on? I know he had the classic line. He was a bunch of nice guys, but
yeah.
Can you talk about? I mean, you played with Stan a few times, but just in general, what's your take?
Oh, I think he's one of the best players around at the time. We played in Carnegie Hall, I remember, and I did a couple little things with him, a couple of jingles where he was involved. But he was a great, great player. But so was Zoot, and so was Al Cohen.
How were they all? How could you talk about how they were all different?
Well, they were all one. You know what I mean? If you heard the band with all of them in there, you don't know who was playing. But they all sounded the same way.
What kind of jingles did you work on with Stan? You mean like?
I can't remember. I remember. I can't think of the name's name at the moment. But it was one with Stan Getz, and I don't know. I can't. As far as I can get.
Can you talk about the first time that you heard Stan, or how he came on your radar to begin with?
Well, he played in. He did his thing, playing the saxophone, and when you heard a guy like that play, boy, you got a big thrill. But I was mostly with Zoot most of the time.
Right.
That's why I favor Zoot.
Well, I know I get that you favor him, but I mean, what did Zoot? How did Zoot? What was his take on Stan as a human being?
Well, he and Stan got along okay, but I preferred Zoot too. Not the playing being better, but I think I knew Zoot very well because we worked together in a club with Zoot and Al both whenever Zoot couldn't make it, Al came in. It was just two of us.
It was just a tenor and guitar.
That's all.
How did you keep how did you keep the rhythm?
Well, I did it. I had my guitar.
Wow. So I mean, you just be playing rhythm chops when they were soloing.
Yeah.
Well, what if you wanted a solo though?
Well, I played a solo.
Did you have you played any burlesque clubs in your career?
What kind of club?
Burlesque.
I don't understand.
Like strip clubs.
Like what?
Like strip clubs.
Oh, no.
Never.
No.
Where was the first small band gig that you had?
I started playing when I got out of high school in a lot of clubs around Jersey until I went with Vaughn Monroe. And just when I graduated high school. And Vaughn put me in a band for I was there 5 years. But I went in the Army for 2 years. I came back and he gave me the job back.
Who else was in that big? Vaughn Monroe does not come up on my radar that much. Who is that cat?
You don't know about Vaughn?
Well, I mean, let's face it. It's Kenton, it's Woody Herman, it's Benny Goodman. Vaughn Monroe off the radar for Jake Feinberg.
Yeah, well, Vaughn sold more records than all those bands. That should do it.
So were you playing a lot of black clubs too when you first started?
No, never any.
Never any?
No, we never did play any.
Really? Because I mean, jazz is an African American art form. You never played?
I know it. Well, I think we did one once. We were on the road and Vaughn's band played. They were hired by a group, a black group.
But did you get a chance? I mean, I talked to Dick Hyman yesterday, and he was talking about playing with Lester Young at the opening of Birdland. I mean, when did you get to play at Birdland?
No, I never did play at Birdland.
What were you doing in the 50s?
I was busy working with Vaughn or Benny Goodman.
I really didn't know that the big bands even. Well, I guess they continued through the late 50s. You continued to.
Oh yeah, that was the end of it, right there around the 50s.
Right. So I guess what I'm talking about is tell me about Bucky Pizzerelli transitioning from the big band era into the small. Would you have a quartet, a quintet?
Well, I ended up playing, doing a lot of recordings, like 3 a day. We did three record dates a day. And I did that for about 12 years. So we played with everybody.
I mean, with what labels, though?
Every label.
Right. Which would be what?
Well, the big ones were Columbia, Decca, RCA Victor.
And this was really kind of prior to accompanists getting credit on the back? There are a lot of records you're on that your name never showed up?
No, I was always happy, but there's always sometimes in that they come up where you don't expect it. All of a sudden, you see your name on the back of an album.
Can you talk about the first small band group you had as a leader?
I'm trying to think. No, I don't. I really couldn't name the group. There's been so many different groups. You go every day and there's a different ball game.
Right, but I mean, once you get out of the studio at night, and you're getting, maybe you're getting paid for you're obviously getting paid for those sessions, but you want to get stuff out of your system. So who would you where would you go jam and who would you play with?
Oh no, I didn't even worry about that. I did my thing. I played solo by myself, so it never occurred to me to fool around trying to do something with a little band, Because I played 7-string guitar. I put an extra string on my guitar, and it did very well. I played for Zoot for a long time.
Can you talk about the concept, the idea behind the seventh string? This is phenomenal. Why did you do that?
Well, it gave an extra note, and you got you got a bass note that you don't have on a regular guitar.
So you were able. That's ultimately how, in a lot of ways, you could. Did you say you were able to play a bass line?
Yeah, a bass line along with a chord.
As far as you know, you're the only one that did that?
No, there were a lot of guys that did it in those days when it came out. George Van Neff started it, and then I met George, and I got involved, so I ended up doing that a lot. And it paid off.
You know, I'm looking here. I mean, it's just an incredible amount of, just a prodigious amount of studio work here. I mean, just alone in 1966.
Yeah.
I mean, you're working with Wes Montgomery. Did you work?
Yep.
You worked with Wes, Kai Winding, Stanley Turrentine, Doc Severinsen, Tony Mottola, Toots Thielsman. It actually says in 1969 that you played on a Stan Getz album.
Yeah, I did it down at Webster Hall. I remember that. A good thing you reminded me. I remember playing that.
You talk about your memories of that?
We did it at the Webster Hall. It was a big orchestra. Hello.
Yeah, I'm here. I was hoping to jar your memory a little bit there.
Yeah.
Who was on drums?
Oh, I can't remember.
Buddy Rich. Buddy Rich was on drums.
He was.
He was. Milt Hinton on bass.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, this is going back a ways. I mean, let me ask you a question. Who was your favorite drummer to play with, in the sense of who expanded the language of rhythm? Who was the best rhythmatist drummer that you played with?
Don Lamont.
Don Lamond.
Yeah.
Don Lamond.
Yeah, you know.
Well, no, I'm 38, man. I don't know. I didn't grow
Oh,
up.
you don't know?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
He was unbelievable.
You explain to the audience why, if you believe that Stan Getz is still relevant in music today, and why?
He can't. How is he still relevant? He died.
If you were going to watch a film documentary on Stan Getz, what would be the most intriguing part to you?
Oh, I wouldn't know that. I wouldn't not answer you on that.
Did you like Stan?
I loved him. Yeah.
Why?
I worked with him once, and he was the top guy in as a tenor player, the top of the heap.
And that's enough to love a guy?
Well, that's what I said, and that's why we liked him.
Right. Do you think he took a lot of material from Al Cohen?
No, I don't think so. Al did his own thing, Zoot did his own thing, and Stan Getz did his own thing.
Insofar as that early Autumn track with the four brothers, Woody Herman.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was sensational.
Can you just talk in retrospect about the significance of that particular second herd, their significance in music history?
About all three playing at once?
Well, yeah, there was a fourth cat too that I can never remember.
Yeah, the baritone player.
Yeah, but I mean that there was the first herd, and then there was really the second herd, and that band in particular, I was hoping you'd talk about the legacy of that band.
It's one of the best business. I mean, they heard the best all playing together. Woody Herman had the band. Zoot and Al were in that band.
You just did a recording yesterday?
I did, yeah.
For who?
Oh, a local guy. I worked with him once or twice.
Right.
And he had a record date of his own. We don't do record dates anymore.
Yeah, no, believe me. I mean, I know that you are a studio monster. I mean, in so many. So can you honestly say you used to hang out with Jim and Andy's with Kenny Burrell?
Oh, sure. I worked a lot of record dates with him.
Can you talk about I mean, some of these cats. I mean, you're from that old school. Can you talk a little bit about, you know, your peer group? You know, Kenny Burrell and I don't want to exclude anybody, but Gene Bertoncini. Can you just talk?
Yeah, we work with all of them.
Right.
Every one of them.
How did you become a master of all musics, though? I mean, the fact that you could go into.
Well, they hired me. I played the bass guitar a lot. You know, it was an electric instrument, and whenever they did a record date, they used a bass guitar instead of a bass. So they hired me, and I had one, and ended up doing a lot of recording that way.
This is so fast. I mean, I really need to know about this. I mean, can you explain the difference between a bass guitar and a bass?
Oh, bass guitar is tuned like a regular guitar, only an octave lower, and that was used a lot on recordings.
As a rhythm, it would be a rhythm.
No, not a rhythm. As a bass note, the bass note.
So they wouldn't even have they would not even have an electric bass.
They wouldn't have a regular bass.
They wouldn't have.
They had an electric guitar doing it.
So no upright bass. You'd have an electric
bass.
Electric bass. But I mean, it wasn't. Do you know who the first cat was to play electric bass on?
Oh, I have no idea.
1953, Monk Montgomery. Did you ever run across?
Oh yeah, he played solo on it.
Did you run across Monk?
Oh yeah.
You talk about Monk, about your memories of Monk.
Well, I played with him and his brother too. Beside him was his brother.
Yeah,
played vibes, didn't he?
He played Buddy Montgomery.
Yeah.
You played vibes, yeah. So phenomenal. So I mean, you were the only cat that was playing the bass guitar.
Well, I did a lot of dates.
Right. I'm just looking here because, I'm looking here, guitar. There's only a couple where it points out, like Keyboard Kaleidoscope with Dick Hyman. It says you did electric bass. Did you actually? It says you played the Fender bass on this.
Well, that's what it was called, the Fender bass.
Hold on for a second. You played the Fender bass?
Yeah.
So that is a completely different finger styling than any kind of regular.
No, but what I played was a guitar an octave lower. So a regular bass has 4 strings. I had 6 strings.
But you played it like you would be playing chops on a regular guitar?
Well, I read the music, and it was written, and it was mostly the bass notes.
Oh, my God.
It was the bass part.
You're a bass player. I mean, this is revelatory. This is unbelievable. I mean, this is ridiculous, man. So you were playing, that's how you could play these odd duo gigs with Alan Zoot, because you were playing.
That's right.
Because you could play bass, right?
Yeah.
So you got to a point, Bucky, where you would be able to solo and play the bass line at the same time?
Well, you added the bass note to what you were doing on a regular guitar as well. When I got a 7th string, I had that.
Who else would do that? I mean, you were the only cat that they would call to do that.
There were a lot of guys that played bass.
Who else?
I just can't mention them all. Like I can't think of the names.
Well, how about one name? This is important because otherwise, as far as I'm concerned, you're the only cat that did it. Because I mean, there's all this stuff. I mean, you're all over the place as playing electric guitar, but you were playing the Fender bass.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I mean, was Chuck Rainey doing that?
Yeah.
Chuck was, and Everett Barksdale, maybe.
Everett, I was trying to think of Everett Barksdale.
Everett Barksdale was playing he had a 7-string guitar.
No, he had a 6-string bass.
You are so clever, Bucky. Hold on. I want to be clear. This is important because I know I'm just calling you out of the blue, but
All right.
At 38, I am the heaviest purveyor of music history amongst my generation. And what I really want to get straight is this: Chuck Rainey, Everett Barksdale, the list goes on and on. Jerry Jamot,
Gene Bernstein.
Say again, Gene Bird.
Yeah.
But you can definitively say you were the first one to create to have a seventh string put on your guitar.
One of the first.
Did Kenny Burrell have a seventh? Have a?
No, he didn't.
Okay, but who else?
Barry Galbraith.
Barry Galbraith.
Yeah.
Galbraith had a seventh. What about like? Did you ever hang with Tedesco? Did Tedesco have a seventh string?
Tedesco's on the West Coast. I never met. I did meet him later on.
Yeah, because I mean, dude, you were the wrecking crew on the East Coast. I mean, that's the point.
Yeah, so I know. I did so many. I couldn't think of. Can't think of anything.
I mean, we're looking here. We're talking to a legendary guitarist, Bucky Pizzerelli, being very coy about a lot of things at this point. But so you were one of the first to put the seventh string on the guitar. It added an octave lower, therefore it became more of a bass guitar.
Well, in other words, when you play a chord, you have a bass note in there. On a regular guitar, you don't have that.
You don't have that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's so how similar was it to an actual electric bass? I mean, you couldn't get the same.
Oh no, we didn't play the bass note on a guitar. If I'm accompanying you, I'm not limited. You see what I mean? You're limited on a six string.
You're limited on a six string. How were you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but not all. So would you say that
when you have a seven string, you got everything you need?
What about Pat Martino?
I met him a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get the other seven stringers, but on all the sessions that you were on when they would call you in with the seven string guitar, there was never another person playing bass.
Oh no, there was always a bass. When I'm playing seven string guitar, there was a bass player.
And who? Okay, so you're adding colors at that point if you're not.
Yeah, I'm playing. In other words, whatever I played, I got a beautiful bass note, and it becomes like the song. Every song, you have enough under your fingers to accompany in any key. When you have a six string, you're limited. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, I'm getting there. I mean, how did you work before the sessions? So you wouldn't step on each other's toes? How would you talk?
I had music. They wrote the line out. I just read the part.
Phenomenal stuff, man. This is and who was the creator of that seven string? I mean, how did you get the idea for that?
Well, it could have been. You mentioned half of those names that we mentioned. They all had it. They all had one. I know Barry had one. Got to know. I made a couple of records with 5 guitars, and Barry played on one.
Yeah, right. I'm going to look for that right now because that to me is the epitome. The great. Here we go. Bucky's not going to get off the hook that easily. Vincent Bell.
Vinny Bell. Oh, he did a lot of record dates.
Is Vinny still with us?
He's around, but he's not playing anymore.
I would love to talk to him anyway. Are you still?
Yeah, I don't know where he is.
Okay, but he's still with us.
His wife died and his son died. They all died the same year. A very sad ending.
But was he a seven stringer?
No.
Al Caiola.
Al wasn't either. He's a regular six stringer.
Tony Mottola.
Tony was same way, six string.
Unbelievable. On this is an album that came out 1966. Great Guitars, Guitar Underground. The legendary Russell George on electric bass. Fender jazz bass. And then Bucky Pizzerelli, bass, parentheses, electric. Guitar, parentheses, rhythm.
Yeah.
So you played a 7-string guitar, a bass guitar, and you played bass guitar as well.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting that. And did you ever play upright bass?
Oh no, I did in high school.
You talk about playing with Mingus. I mean, did you get a chance to play?
I did once. I think I did once or twice. We did a record date with a whole bunch of bass players.
And you were one of the bass players.
No. We were. I think it was at Columbia, and he did a big orchestra, and he had about 5 guitar players there with him. And we all banged away.
I love it. Did you know Moondog at all?
Hello?
Hey, did you know Moondog?
No. I met him. I met him once. I knew him. I knew who he was.
Right. I'm just wondering if you ever got involved with, like, music.
No, never did.
You did play with Henry Gross?
That's Marty Gross.
Henry, I got to hear. Yeah, okay. So here we go. Zoot Sims with Bucky Pizzerelli, and this is in the pocket stuff. Did you just do a duo on this one here?
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff.
That's why it was important to have that extra note, that extra string on a regular guitar.
An extra string on a regular guitar, which is different than a Fender bass, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you also played the Fender bass once in a while.
Once in a while, I play a 6-string electric bass,
which is not a 7-string.
No, it's not a 7-string
guitar.
It's tuned like a guitar, an octave lower.
I love it. Have you ever talked this long about this?
No.
Bucky, listen, man. I love you, man. I realize you were not a Stan guy, but you know.
I was a Stan. I love Stan Getz. But I already saw him play 3 or 4 times.
Sure. I mean.
But I worked with Zoot so much that I fell in love with Zoot.
Of course, and at the end of the day, I mean, I just wonder how you look at the fact that, or what you think about the fact that Stan was able to. Fuse the bossa rhythms with jazz and became.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he became a pop star.
He made all those bossa novas. The first bossa nova record was done with Stan Getz.
I'm just curious, did you ever have a chance to, like the younger cats, once the scene began to change and, in the 70s, obviously there was still plenty of studio work to go around, but did you have a chance to play with some of the younger rhythm sections? Like, I mean, did you ever have a chance to play with Chick Corea or Tony Williams or Stanley Clarke or
No, I never did.
Who were the younger generation guys that you played with?
The best rhythm guitar player was Barry Galbraith. So when I saw him on a record, that I know it was going to be good.
Is Barry left us now?
Yeah.
So is Keola? You're saying
Keola? He's still around.
Keola's still.
He can't hear too well.
Keola's still around. I'm trying to get to all the. I mean, listen.
Yeah.
For this documentary, I've already interviewed Seymour Red Press.
Yeah.
Okay, he was in the Benny Goodman band. Was he in the? Were you with him in the Benny Goodman band?
No.
And then
when I played with Slam Stewart.
Slam, and then and he played bass, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bucky Pizzerelli played upright bass in high school. Bucky Pizzerelli played a 7-string electric guitar. Bucky Pizzerelli occasionally played a 6-string Fender bass. Is that right?
Right.
Got it. And love you, man. Great.
Okay.
Yeah, listen, go hang, and we'll talk soon. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Later on, Buck.
All right, bye.
Bye. legendary guitar player Bucky Pizzerelli. I think he understands that, and that's it for now. That's the Jake Feinberg Show. We'll be back in just a little bit.
If I see a dog, I go, wow, hey, I'll tell my kids, look at that dog. Is that a good-looking dog?